Gamebreaker TV.
Shaft them, throwing stuff at you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast, episode number 10. We hit double digits. For February 16, 2012, you're watching Gamebreaker. I'm Gary Gannon, and today let's talk about Guild Wars 2 coming to consoles. We're going to talk about Dub v Dubs and, of course, your viewer questions. But first, from Massively.com, the new GW2 guru, it's Elizabeth. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back for another episode.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be back as always.
And joining us this week, also from the Massively live streaming team, it's Ashton Kutcher. How are you, sir?
Oh, my wife is watching this right now and is probably seriously just loving her life at this point.
Yeah, you should be proud, my friend. Can you tweet this?
Yes.
Can you tweet this right now? Just, you got like 8 million Twitter followers.
Oh, I think there's a big difference between 8 million and 28.
No,
yeah.
Dylan Tirani. Is that how you say the
Thank
last name? Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, sir.
Tirani.
Yes, sir.
Dylan Tirani, part of the Massively.com live streaming team, joining us today for some Guild Wars 2. The neckbeard couldn't be here this week, so he's probably just, I don't know, at the shrubbery getting trimmed or something, whatever you do with a beard like that. All right, let's talk a little bit about Guild Wars 2 coming to consoles. So this week on the NCSoft conference call, they said when it comes to Guild Wars 2, as we have announced already, we are in the preparation stage. For other titles, we are looking at various options as we speak. So once again, nothing has been finalized yet for me to make specific comments now. So the internet freaked out about this. I mean, this flew under the radar for me as far as news go. I don't know about you guys, Elizabeth. I mean, they did talk about this prior to this conference call, right? They did allude to it at one point.
Yeah, we've actually known for 2 years. There's actually an almost identical thread from February of 2010 on Guild Wars 2 Guru, where someone was listening to an investor's call and said, hey, they're talking about consoles. And everybody freaked out. It was just a lot smaller because the community was a lot smaller. So I don't know why everyone's thinking that this is brand new and completely different and apparently a sign of the end times. But it's not new.
I think it just flew under the radar for a lot of us. Because you're talking about what did you say, 2 years ago this was kind of picked up on?
Yeah, and again, it's only talk, and it's been around, as far as I know, for at least the 2 years. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen. They've said that they're exploring it, and that's it.
Seriously, I mean, don't you think if it's on an investor call or a conference call like this, I'm not going to, I know they're not going to say it's definite, but don't you think it's a pretty high percentage that we're probably going to get this?
I think if they've been looking at it for 2 years, I don't know. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, same thing with what Gary was saying. Basically, it has been a little under the radar, but in the sense that it was just not really talked about. I think that PC gamers always like to kind of just act like they see no and hear no when it comes to consoles. But a little bit of research shows, again, it was brought up 2 years ago. It was also brought up about a year ago, just in a interview on videogamer.com, that they had said, just kind of quoting it, that it's tough for these development companies to bring the MMO to the console. One of the reasons being traditional subscription fees and microtransactions. It doesn't always translate well to the console. So he then went on to say that if they could eliminate this said problem, that it would be very easy to get these games onto onto consoles. So that was actually in June of 2011, so it was a little bit more recently, but I'm not sure the size of the blog and everything like that. So
and that is like
news.
And that's the thing that's important. It's kind of funny, like I hadn't thought about it till this thing popped up, but it seems like ArenaNet is in such a perfect position to like put this on a console. We talked about the there's no end game, there's no raiding traditionally, but you got 5-man raids, things like that. How they're setting up the PvP and everything like that. It seems like and of course the big one, no subscription model, right? Which is something that console players are not really used to. So they're used to buying a game for $60 and getting to play it. And with Guild Wars 2 coming without a subscription fee, it seems like almost the perfect MMO to actually go to a console. So why do you obviously the news comes out and the internet flips out. They flip out about everything. But the biggest thing was a lot of people were just having concerns that the PC game version would lack, or they'd be putting bodies over working on the console team, and somehow that the PC version would be less than stellar, just because they're positioning resources and bodies over there. I mean, do you guys have any worry about this at all?
Yeah, I mean, you guys got to just understand that it definitely adds stress to the dev teams for updating. You got to think, man, it's way more bugs, way more solving these problems just for different hardware and stuff like that. But it's definitely possible, and these gaming companies are overcoming these kind of challenges every single game that comes out. It's something, they've never done that before. So, we're seeing DC Universe Online do it. If ArenaNet says they could do it, hey, I'm willing to pay my money to have that experience.
Elizabeth, how do you think the whole, with Guild Wars having 10 or so hotkeys, do you think, with the lack of subscription and the action combat elements, do you think it's kind of a perfect storm possibly for consoles?
I think that if anything was going to really be a successful MMO on consoles, it would be Guild Wars 2. And I don't think that ArenaNet would ever commit to it and do it and run the whole distance with it unless they really thought they could do it excellently. So I'd be very excited to see them firmly announce that, yes, we're doing this and we're going to pursue it. I think that would be really excellent, and they could be very successful. Something
we talked about on This Week in MMO today as well is I brought up the question saying, I think the big question as soon as I read this was, do you think PC gamers and console players would somehow be playing on the same servers? What do you think, Dylan? You think that they might try and build a technology out to merge them?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's 2012, folks. These gaming companies are really seeing that there's a huge market for these things. So I think it just comes down to, and you know what, though? I don't think they've said anything further about that if they're going to have it with the console servers and the PC servers going together. But the console players are hungry for blood right now. Call of Duty has just revolutionized bloodthirst in console gaming. So I think it's definitely out there, and I think the players would want to do it. It just depends on if Arena sees that there's value in doing so.
But even those games keep their communities separated between the PC and the console, and you got to almost wonder if it's I mean, there's the two big things are obviously the difference of advantages. A lot of the PC players and FPS and stuff always feel that they have an advantage over the console players with a mouse and keyboard. And you're a big PvPer, right, Dylan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually why Sean brought me onto this. So, not that I'm the best by any means, but I just have a lot of experience in getting the crap kicked out of me over several different user interfaces. So.
But how do you think about that? I know you haven't had a hands-on, especially not with a controller with Guild Wars 2, but
right.
Playing DCUO and stuff like that. I mean, could you see that the keyboard and mouse players, if they were to merge the servers, let's say, and have both console and PC play together, could you see that the PC players would have an advantage in PvP?
I don't think that there would be an advantage at all, to be honest. I think that the way these gamers are right now, you just got to think. Console players look at us and they say, how could they possibly play a game with a keyboard and mouse? But yet we're doing it. So I just think that they'd find ways to make the controls work. They'd find ways through ArenaNet's presentation style that they've stated over and over again is just going to feel natural. It's going to be easy to use. And I mean, again, it just goes back down to that. I think it's definitely possible. It's just I think it's the developer who's got to make the commitment to both sides of the players. Both should have a good experience while playing this game. It shouldn't feel clunky on either ends if they're going to do it.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if I think the mouse and keyboard players might have a bit of an advantage with being able to kind of move cameras around and stuff so quickly compared to controllers, but. Elizabeth, what do you think about the culture shift, though? We talked about this a little bit as well. It's just it seems like the PC gamer and the console gamer kind of seem to live in segregated communities, and I wonder if they would want to sort of meld the two together and have them chatting and talking. Do you think that the culture would be a reason that they'd keep this separate?
I can see how it might be beneficial to not mix the two. Generally, there's kind of an idea that MMO players are a little bit not necessarily quite so, I don't know, hardened to the world. Like there's a very stereotypical image of the console gamer and a very stereotypical image of the MMO player, and I don't know how they would mix together in an MMO.
What's the stereotypical image of the MMO player? I gotta know where we would go with the console player. I'm curious. What's the MMO player?
Well, there's an idea that MMOs aren't like serious action games because for the most part, most MMOs don't lend themselves to serious action, versus console players who do all sorts of teabagging and stuff like that.
You said it.
Yes, I did.
Anyone want to speculate at all? You guys want to go out on a limb and even remotely speculate how far after the PC release we may see a console version? You think 6 months?
To.
You think you don't even want to try?
Mm-mm.
I think it's going to be. I'm going to say at least a year. I don't know if it's. I think it's going to be kind of far out.
I hope it's a year. I mean, I hope they take their time. If they're going to do it, take the time and do it right. You know what I mean? And don't hurt one fan base because of you want to get the other ones involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will agree to that.
Take the time. Take the time.
And I think I think ArenaNet knows where their bread and butter is, knows where their community is in their core right now. They are not. And the thing is, if they screw up the PC version, then there really is no reason to even have a console version. So can't really screw up the PC version and then like try and.
Whoa, now that's heresy.
Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think? How long do you think it's going to take if ArenaNet puts out the console version? How far down the road after the PC release do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be a month, 6 months, a year, 10 years? Do you think it's never going to happen? What do you think? Leave a comment below in this episode and let us know. Really quickly, I want to take a quick moment, giving you a heads up. February 20th, mark your calendars. We haven't slept here at Gamebreaker TV for about a month and a half, and Gamebreaker 2.0 is coming February 20th, this coming Monday. I'll give you a little preview.
Shiny.
You don't like to read the news, do you? You want to hear the news. Yes, so the website will be going down. All new look, all new site, everything. There you go. That's all you're going to get. But coming Monday. Can't wait to show it to you guys and see what you guys think of Gamebreaker 2.0. So mark your calendars. The website will be going down over the weekend. It is going to go down, so don't freak out. We know you can't live without Gamebreaker over the weekend, but you can try. All right, let's talk about the Dub v Dubs. ArenaNet puts up a new blog post talking about World versus World, P versus P. So they finally realized, I think, that no one was going to say WVW VW. So we're down to just WVW now, or I'm just going to call it Dub v Dubs. Mike Ferguson, a systems designer at ArenaNet, had some interesting things to say. So he said, we gave each of the 3 teams a home map called the Borderlands, where they could have some advantages as the home team. We also created a 4th central map called the Eternal Battlegrounds that has its own unique features, including a massive central keep. These are the largest maps we can make in Guild Wars 2, and we use as much space as we possibly can in order to accommodate over 100 people from each server fighting on every map. I gotta say, every time I read something about Guild Wars 2, I just get more and more excited. It sounds potentially like, you guys read the same way, across the 4 interlinked maps, that there possibly could be about 1,200 people fighting for control. Is that how you read this, Elizabeth?
1,200 and up, yep.
That's crazy. Dylan, are you just
insanely amazing?
Is your PvP just like?
I'm so shocked. I don't even know what to say. No, it's gonna be seriously. Let's just say that open world PvP that rewards contribution and has a lasting effect on the successful faction. How long has that been requested for? I mean, what are we talking? Literally since Ultima Online when they introduced factions.
Or Dark Age of Camelot was probably the last time we've seen anything even remotely close to this.
Yeah, exactly. But yet the communities have been begging for it for, I mean, literally 10 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I shouldn't just go out in the world to kill. Well, okay, wait, hold on. Us old schoolers do appreciate going out into the world and literally just ruining somebody's
old
good time.
Schoolers? You're like 16 years old. Look at you.
No. Hey, man. Hey, I've been playing since '97. Ultima Online was my first.
He was 3. He was 3 then.
I was 4 years old. I had just learned to use the mouse and keyboard.
Your parents taught you well.
Well, yeah, sort of, yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, it's just been something that's been requested for a really long time, and I mean, I think that. I just think that we've been waiting on it.
Here's something, Elizabeth. I mean, when I read this too, there's something that concerns me much. But do you think that so the battles are going to run in 2-week cycles, basically? Do you think there's like a danger that there won't be anywhere near that number of players like there to do it? Like like how are they going to know what's going on in the WW world?
I think that's going to depend a lot server to server on the culture. Like if you have a server where everybody really likes PvE, you're not going to have a very strong presence in the Force. The nice thing is that the way that ranking works is that teams will get matched up by ranking, so you should be fighting people who have about the same level of commitment to it as your server, which will help kind of make that less of a problem. Like some PvP maps are going to be really deserted because no one on the 3 servers is really into that. Some are going to be just happening all the time because a lot of people are showing a lot of interest in this.
Do we know if there's any sort of way to like alert the general player base of what's going to be going on in WW? Are we going to get messages that sort of say like, your last keep is under assault and like call to arms and like kind of draw people away from maybe some of the PvE content to jump in there?
It'd be awesome if we did. Nothing like that that I know of has been talked about, but you do get like bonuses based on how your team is doing, so you'll have a general idea at least.
It is Guild Wars too, and if you guys remember in Guild Wars 1 they had the call out system, so they've always been big on communication being a big part of their experience. So you would think that ArenaNet would step it up again, and there would be just tons of different ways to join in on the battle. If you're just out questing in regular world PvP and they're like, hey, the Mist needs your help, it'd be like a button right there that you could just hop in the battle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be great, especially knowing when it's like right at the end of like, some sort of big loss and you just kind of want to get charged up and get in there and have some really good PvP action. Next up, Mike says, luckily you'll have the ability to use siege weapons to tear through those walls and gates. Once the Keep Lord is finally defeated, your force has to hold the keep for a short time before you can claim it for your server. Once you capture a keep, all gates and walls are repaired, so don't hold back your assaults in fear of damaging the structure. Tear down whatever you must to get inside. So player-built siege weapons sounds pretty awesome. What do you guys think about the walls and gates of the keeps repairing themselves? Are you okay with this, or would you rather have seen maybe some sort of group effort have that you and your guilds and players have to actually somehow build them back up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this goes to an ideology that these games have started collecting a little bit, that unfortunately it's not as sandboxy as it used to be. So I think they're trying to find a nice mix between sandbox elements like RTS elements and PvP elements. So I think that's just one of the ways that they could kind of keep the game moving for some of the players that may only have, an hour or two, and they want to recapture the fortress. And then the guys that love coming in and fixing up the turrets and the boiling water, boiling tar, or whatever, they could come in right away and start doing that stuff. And I think that's just part of that keeping it moving kind of philosophy that a lot of games are picking up right now.
Elizabeth, are you a big PvE or PvPer or both?
I'm starting to venture more and more into the realm of PvP, especially with this news about World versus World. But no, I'm mostly PvE, but I'm very much looking forward to becoming more interested.
So how does that sound from sort of more of a PvE-centric point of view? I mean, does the thought of if you had to sort of build up these barracks, maybe like all the guildmates have to like go and like get these shoddy like wooden barricades and haul them over to kind of like fix the walls, and then they would fix, or would you rather see it sort of repaired instantly like by the game? Would you like a little more sandboxy?
I'm all for sandboxy. I think this has a couple strengths. For one thing, since as you're defending, you're able to upgrade your walls, you're likely not going to, as an invading force, be getting the walls back at the full strength that they were when you had to take them down, so there's still a disadvantage there. And I think it's going to encourage people to be more reckless. Eric Flanham has said several times that he thinks that the game is the most fun when things are like down to the wire. And this is going to encourage people because they know that if they can get in there and take over the keep, it doesn't matter because they'll have their defenses up. So it's okay that they waste a lot of manpower getting in there. So you're going to encourage people to just run in and make these awesome attacks and last stands with a lot more at stake.
All right, so now I'm all for it. Now I'm all for more chaos. Yeah. I'm completely for more chaos and craziness. Like those are the most fun things. I mean, even in like Warhammer Online in the early days when there were huge, massive keeps, it was when there was just absolute chaos that it was the most fun. So,
absolutely.
Mike
it'd
and
be cool if they,
go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you think it's gonna be cool if they're gonna allow crafters to, make better things? So I mean, it could really reach out to a lot of sandbox niches. You know what I mean? Like a certain crafter can maybe make like a better tar trap or something.
Reinforcements and things like that of just anything. Yeah,
right.
I think that would be great. I mean, that's one of the things in a lot of recent MMOs that I really feel like we've lost, is that we've lost these large group efforts that take like sometimes 50, 60 or 100 people to kind of group up and build something together. We all got to go in these small groups and go on the path and stuff. I'd love to see some stuff in Guild Wars that kind of makes large groups of people have to actually work together and coordinate, and maybe take days or weeks to actually build some of this stuff, right? Like, how cool would it be like if it takes a couple weeks, but then you start building these awesome reinforcements for your keeps and things like that that make it harder for the opposing servers to come and take your stuff. I'd love to see it.
For sure.
All right, Mike continues to go on. He says you might help a group of ogres protect their camp against constant harpy assaults. In return, your new ogre allies will go rampaging towards the nearest enemy objective or send out patrols to help you hold on to your territory. These factions won't fight for you indefinitely, but they can help turn the tide of battle. So you'd be wise to recruit their aid whenever possible. How cool is this? It's kind of like there's sort of like a mercenary system here where you're going to have to like win over the ogres and whoever else in there. It seems like there's just so many layers of complexity that they're building into the dub v dub setup. I think that it really sounds like there's going to be so many different things for different types of players to get into, no matter how big of a group. I mean, what, do you guys? Doesn't it sound like there's something for everybody here in PvP, which isn't usually the case?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of for the players who like a consistent experience. PVE. I think I actually had a player that I played with recently say this to me, and it just dawned on me. People who play PVE like that consistent experience. They don't want it to be very, very one-sided like PvP can be. So I think what they're doing is they're making this experience for people who want to craft, people who want to do PVE, and still have that player versus player element where it's like, yeah, I'm not directly fighting somebody, but my actions are stopping another player from being successful, and that's still PvP in my eyes. And it's also like you were talking about earlier about how they were saying, will there be enough content if there's only 6 of us on? Well, maybe this little side quest will be a daily quest that you can do every day, or maybe it'll be something that only takes one person to solo, and now you've contributed even though you guys aren't besieging a keep. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Elizabeth, so if the player base, I mean, I'm trying to thinking about this now, and it's like if the player base is really coordinated, I mean, people could really have some in-depth strategies going on to kind of make this all happen. A big guild, besieges the enemy keep, while, say, a few smaller guilds help the local wildlife with their problem until, they kind of all attack together and kind of... I mean, do you think we'll see that sort of thing happening a lot, or do you think that's kind of, I'm going a little too far-fetched with the coordination here?
No, I absolutely think that it's going to encourage huge, just radical cooperation and organization. I think you're going to see that the most successful servers are full of guilds who can really spearhead, like one person's going to hold the keep or one team is going to take the keep and hold the keep, while others are going out and getting smaller objectives, while someone else is guarding supply caravans so that you always have resource. So I think it's really going to encourage just radical cooperation.
Mike goes on to say this. He says that you can also do dubs at any level, and your stats are going to get bolstered up. So he finishes with this. He says you continue to gain experience and new items while playing in the mists. Players you kill will drop loot for you, just like slain monsters in PvE. The player that was killed doesn't lose any of their own equipment. That would suck. So you'll never need to worry about losing your favorite rare weapon if you are defeated in WW. Even better, any gear that is dropped for you will be level appropriate. So a player, who really loves PvP can basically just get in straight away and progress up and gear up naturally. Dylan, you're a big PvPer. Is this something you might do? Just jumping right in and not even do the PvE stuff and go straight for PvP?
Hey man, I'll tell you what, this is a dream come true for PvPers. I think I don't think I'm speaking for myself when I say that player versus player elements has really changed how I play games. So a lot of times I'm not in the mood to do that storyline. And as you guys were talking about before, sometimes that storyline just isn't up to par in certain games. You guys were talking about this in the last podcast. If they can't do it big, sometimes it's like, why is it even a part of it? And that's not my thoughts, but I'm just saying I love PvP in the level. And I think that Star Wars did a phenomenal job of balancing and like bolstering stats for low-level players. Like as soon as you got a decent amount of abilities, you were able to participate. And yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely something exciting. I mean, personally, I will probably do like my first 10 levels as PvE, and then it'll be queuing up in the World PvP or War Zones or Structured PvP from then on out. Like, if they're gonna let me get to max level efficiently and give me the features, yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
Elizabeth, I don't think you'll be jumping into the PvP at level 1. I'm sure you'll jump in, but not leveling the entire experience.
I might be tempted to for some character just to see how it goes because, I mean, first of all, I love rolling alts, so I will definitely have plenty to experiment with that with. And it sounds really fascinating. Like, this is the first PvP game that I've just been really excited to get into and cannot wait to get my hands on.
Anything else you guys notice anywhere else this week in that blog post or anywhere else that we may have missed? I think there was some other news that came out today, but I don't have anything.
Yeah, hey, so what do you think about this? This is a weird concept for World PvP. They were talking about how you'll get sidekicked down if you're griefing in lower level areas, and now they're talking about bolstering up stats in war zones. So what do you guys think about, like, if I'm wanting to do just normal PvE character stuff, am I going to be able to go back in levels, and because they're going to sidekick me down, am I going to be able to fight with low level characters and it be exciting? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you first.
No, go ahead, Elizabeth.
No, by all means. I insist.
No, go ahead.
So, yes, you'll get sidekicked down so that you're at a level where you're enjoying the content and it's challenging for you, just not as challenging as it would be for someone actually at that level, because you do still have better gear and you will likely have more things unlocked. So say I'm level 30 and I want to play in a level 15 area. I've already unlocked my elite slot. So I'm way cooler than everybody I'm playing with. But it'll still be exciting for me because I won't just be out one-shotting everybody.
Is that enough? I guess the other thing too is that, you know, with the dynamic events and stuff like that, if they're, again, it goes back, if they're just cool enough. I mean, like, look what we're looking at right now. If you were to have missed this, yeah, you'd probably go back and do this, and you know,
For sure.
Right.
you'd probably have fun with this this little guy right here coming out of the ocean.
I guess. You know, dragons. They're okay.
We love dragons. Always once in a while. All right, let's do some viewer questions this week. First up from Damien Sim. I'll throw this one to Dylan first. Damien says, how will you be playing it? Class and play style.
Definitely, melee has ruined my ranged. I get too bored as ranged, so I'll be doing a melee. Again, I'll probably be leveling PvP straight, you know, as soon as I'm viable in structured PvP and world PvP and stuff like that. I'll be hitting it from the start. So definitely probably going to do the warrior class. Never been big on the thief. I want to be in melee range. I want to apply my slows, and I want to, you know, swing really big axe down.
How about you, Elizabeth?
I'm really excited for the classes that are a lot more of a hybrid of melee and magic. That said, if the Mesmer is half as cool as they're saying it's going to be, I will absolutely be adoring my Mesmer.
The Mesmer does look pretty amazing.
Mesmer looks astounding. And the Guardian also I'm very excited for.
I can never tell early on in games what I'm going to play. I usually play a ranged DPS class. I usually try and, like, my initial, like, almost any MMO, though, I usually try and almost, like, get in and level almost every single class to at least, like, level 6 or 7 really quickly and just see and then pick from there. So I'll probably do some sort of ranged DPS class. I'm not sure. All right, next up from Kendall R. Link. Kendall says, what do you feel will be the biggest reason people will either return to the Guild Wars series, for those of you who played Guild Wars 1, or lure them to try Guild Wars 2 for the first time? So what do you think is the biggest reason, Elizabeth?
I think, well, we've been talking again and again about how it kind of has something for everyone at this point. So I don't think you're going to see, like, people flocking just because the story is superb or just because the PvP is incredible. Like, I think that it'll get so many people because it has so many things to offer.
Dylan?
I think a lot of people will be attracted to the tributes that they're paying to some of the older ideas, like Dark Age of Camelot, like the Warhammer Online, like RVR style matchups and stuff like that. I think those elements mixed with clean combat, and the ability to, so like a lot of people probably play League of Legends that might play this game, and if you guys notice, there's new style of abilities in this game that you would see in League of Legends, where like you literally with your mouse like draw a wall, and then the people can't walk through it and stuff like that. So I think that seeing these elements that they've wanted out of an MMO in an MMO will probably be something that'll lure them.
And I think the big one too, another big one, no sub.
Yeah,
No
right.
subscription
Right.
fee, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No monthly fee is going to be a huge draw for people to try this, you know? Guild Wars 1 players or new people is hearing about an MMO that's online, open world like this with all these different elements, and I don't have to pay for a sub. Count me in. All right. Next up from Keith Kilpin. Keith says, do you think we are going to see companions for hire like in Guild Wars 1 for the solo style player? I find there are times I just want to play the game solo, which is why I love Guild Wars 1. Do we know anything about this, guys?
I'm pretty sure they've confirmed no heroes. I don't want to say that that's absolutely certain because somebody will find a link to prove me wrong. But they've never talked about having heroes in the game or henchmen. They've talked about so far just really encouraging people to play together, because in a lot of people's minds, heroes and henchmen kind of either saved Guild Wars 1 or completely killed it, depending on who you ask, because it really encouraged people to not worry about pugs and not worry about playing with people they didn't already know and love. So I think, as far as I know, they're straying away from that and not having that as an availability.
And I think it's probably kind of hard to answer this question without playing it and seeing the bigger picture of the game. But were you a fan of the hires in 1?
I use them frequently, but I will always play with people if possible. I play MMOs for social reasons, so I'm actually completely fine with seeing the heroes gone, despite the fact that they've done so much for me in the original Guild Wars.
What about you, Dylan?
9 out of 10 MMO players like the first M of MMO. So I think the 10th one just likes the punishment that comes along with social games. But yeah, I think that it's probably a good thing, to be honest. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love companions. I love the fact that if I just need a little help in a zone, they're there. But it's not very hard to just target somebody and invite them to your group, and maybe they'll have an amazing functionality that we don't even know about for doing group content, that just does automatic grouping or something like that. So,
and knowing ArenaNet, if they do it, it'll be done somewhat differently than anybody else has done it. I'm sure they'll come up with something, right? All right, next question from Joshua David Flores. Joshua says, do you think that ArenaNet will make future expansions for Guild Wars 2 standalone, like what they did with Factions and Nightfall, or do you think that they will require you to own Guild Wars 2, similar to Eye of the North and other MMOs? Elizabeth?
Yeah.
My bet would be that they're going for the expansion mode, just because it makes everything easier. There was a lot of confusion and hassle that came with, like, which campaign do I have to own to have this? And you had players with really unequal experiences because someone playing Nightfall had access to heroes from the beginning, whereas someone who just bought Prophecies is like, what are heroes? Like, why do I have these really crappy henchmen?
Right.
So I think that you'll see expansions. I think it's a sounder business model, and I think that that'll allow for a lot more awesome play rather than forcing people to start going through baby content again with every new campaign. They'll have expansions so that you can play at the level you're at and be totally awesome and keep rolling with the character you know and love.
I have to agree. What do you think, Dylan?
I agree too. I just think that it makes it easier for playing with your friends. I have Expansion 1 and Expansion 3, but you only have Expansion 1 and Expansion 2, so we can't do the stuff off of number 2. I don't foresee them doing it the same way this time.
And you're just sitting around with your friends trying to figure it all out.
Right. You got 9 boxes or
exactly
digital copies, 9 versions of Origin on your screen. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Which one?
All right, next question. Go ahead, Elizabeth. You had something?
No, I was just going to say that additionally, they're kind of setting themselves up to not have campaigns, because as the lore stands now, both of the continents that the other campaigns were on have been kind of closed off to us as players. There's a dragon in one area, and the other one's having this huge governmental problem that they've completely shut themselves off from the rest of the world. So I think they're leaning towards that already, although that's not confirmed.
All speculation.
Yes.
Next up from Johan Nilsson Ronta. Johan says, he went for the old school since WVWVW. Where's this guy? This guy's like last month using the extra W's in his question here. No, since WVWVW has huge player numbers, do you think we will see a lot of inexperienced players form huge mobs and just roam the map like what happened a lot of the times in Alliance battles in Guild Wars 1? What do you think of that, Dylan? You think we're going to see that? I think you're muted.
I think he is.
I think you're muted.
Can't hear you, dude.
Unmuted.
There you go.
Welcome back to the show.
Yes, thank you. I think that noobs are going to be noobs, and good gamers are going to be good gamers. And so you will see the noob mob rolling around. But noob mobs like to do weird things like questing and lore and
weird
stories.
Things.
So who knows? Like I said, you might not. They might just be focused on some of the smaller tasks, while the more complicated tasks might go to the more experienced groups. That's my thoughts. I just think noobs will be noobs and others won't.
What you think, Elizabeth? Noobs will be noobs?
I think you'll absolutely see noobs being noobs. What I hope you'll also see is the cool, awesome guilds kind of shepherding them along and saying, hey, if you actually want to be helpful to our mission, you could try doing this. I know it's a lot to ask for the internet to be like mature and positive. I was going to say the internet being
nice and positive and optimistic.
And like not just, yeah. So I know that's asking a lot, but I think that it might happen once or twice, and that would be completely amazing to see people actually showing the noobs how to be awesome.
I have sign-ups already open for my noob griefing guild. If you want to sign up, just leave a comment below. Yes, there we go. No, I'm kidding. All right, last up from Waffle Moore. Waffle says, can we make ugly characters? I seem to remember reading that there would be no ugly characters in Guild Wars 2, but I really want to make a Sylvari Necromancer who looks like a withered old husk. I'm worried that it's going to be a lot of making a blood elf and WoW, all pretty all the time. We have seen a lot of the character creator, Elizabeth, but yeah, have we seen any like character models that you can actually make them look really kind of terrible?
We've seen scars and people of different ages. I think what they're mistaking is that ArenaNet's been very specific. You can't make like immersion-breaking characters. I know that when Aeon had their sliders, you had a lot of people making characters who were this tall with a head that was twice the size of their body, hands like talons, pink hair and a mouth that took up half their face. And that kills it for a lot of people.
Man, there goes my... I was going to make CeeLo, the little T-Rex. You ever see CeeLo Green with the little T-Rex hands? He's like... Rah, rah, rah. I was going to make him like huge and just way overweight and just little T-Rex arms, big heads.
Yeah, I was actually describing my Aeon tank right there. But no, so what they want is they want people to be able to get in and enjoy, get pulled out of it by having some like duck monster running around as a player.
Dylan, you a fan of making totally ridiculous characters in MMOs, or would you rather see them kind of stick to some normal-looking, immersion-correct characters?
I mean, it's a fantasy game, so I hope that there's some elements that you can adjust that make it look a little radical. Yeah, I guess that's the word, fantasy style game. And, I'm hoping you can make something that's a little bit radical and a little bit out there, but I think what Elizabeth was saying was that we're not going to be able to make, like, bad-looking characters. I don't think the quality will ever be poor, that you'll be, like, saying, this just really looks bad. Like, I went for something and it looks terrible. I think that it'll always be immersive and look like what it should look like.
You're not going to be able to make some crazy alien with, like, big eyes and a stupid head and, like, one arm. Yeah, totally. So it looks like they're going to put some restrictions on there. So February 20th, mark your calendars. Gamebreaker.tv, new website coming at you this coming Monday. There you go, a little sneak peek. What's going on? It's crazy. It's going to be a lot more than I think you guys actually expect. I don't think you guys know what is coming, but a lot of content. Dylan, thanks so much for coming on the show, bro. Wait, how many Twitter followers do you have right now?
28. I think I have 28.
What's your Twitter handle?
It's at TVGgraves. I'll put it in the chat there. At TVGgraves.
All right. He's got to get to 100, like today at least. You guys, come on. You got to give him 100 at least. No problem. So follow him at that. Thanks for coming on the show. Got to have you on again.
Thank you.
And make sure you go over to massively.com and check out the live stream. I guess you guys have a schedule, right? When you guys do. What do you normally stream?
I stream PvP Saturdays, so it's either at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock every Saturday, depending on what the other ones are doing. And then I also usually do Monday or Tuesday nights. I think it's going to be mostly Monday nights. So we have a guide that goes up every single Monday on Massively. So that's the best thing to do, is check out the guide on Mondays, and you can see everybody's streams, including mine.
Awesome. And send my best to Demi. Tell her to get better. She needs to get well. She's kind of out there and hurting. Elizabeth, follow
Always
her.
a pleasure to be on.
What is your Twitter?
Elizabeth Claire. Claire spelled with C-L-A-I-R-E. Elizabeth is like Elizabeth with an X.
How many followers do you have right now?
It's gone up. It's 600 something.
All right, so
621.
she could probably hit 1,000 by the end of the day if you guys are nice. Go ahead. Is it off balance? I mean, it's female to male. You understand, Dylan, that she's female. She probably can get 400. You can get 100. Well, I don't know. You look
Also,
like
Dylan's protected, so
What's that mean? I'm
it
kind
means
of a
you can be
noob.
private, and I have to request to follow you. So I can't just go up and be like, "Oh, what do you say?"
Yeah.
Let me
Come
go
on,
ahead and
Ashton. I thought
fix
you were all
that.
about this Twitter thing.
No,
You're all
baby.
over the place. All right,
baby.
you can follow me on the Twitter at Gary Gannon, and you can follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. So come on over, sign up for the forums, all that good stuff, and we will see you next week for more GuildCast. And be sure to check out the new Gamebreaker Monday, February 20th. Have a great week, guys.
Yay.
I get to play Guild Wars all weekend, so I don't know about you guys, but
I know. Best weekend ever.
yeah. So,
Not to gloat.
not to gloat.
Maybe just a little bit.
Have a great week,
I'm really
guys.
excited.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.